Yo, people, what's going on? It's Egal Talks Football. We're back again with another video. Today, I got my boy Hamza in the building. Hamza, talk to the people, bro. Tell me why are we here today? Because you had something to tell people. You had something very important to tell me, and you couldn't wait for the next time we're on stream. We had to do it today. So tell the people, what did you want to hear? What did you want everyone to know? Why are you
I
here
just
today?
said, I just was gonna say to everyone, including everyone that I spoke to, all the rivals, every football fan that knows, they've said that this is the worst City side that they've seen in many years. We're talking over 10 years, and many have said that they've not seen this bad City side. And despite our adversity that we've gone through, 1 in 13, we don't make excuses about injuries, whatever it is. We know Rodri was injured, Stones, Ake, and all this. We don't use that excuses. That's part of football. You know, if we use that, we will never win the league. We've done that with injuries. We've won every major trophy with adversity. It's happened to us. But this is the worst adversity we've ever had. But we're not using it as an excuse. But what we're saying is our worst ever season, where we win one game in 13. One game in 13, where everyone thought that we're finished. Our era's done. It's time for Pep to consider about leaving Man City. The aging squad, the era's done. Rivals like Arsenal fans laughing at us. We're getting beaten by the likes of Arsenal, who we don't respect because they haven't won any major trophies. 5-1. You know, we having not won anything, one win in 13 games. Yeah, this year, a shocking year. Yeah, with Pep Guardiola. Yeah, with just 3 points behind this great Arsenal team that they talk about how they celebrated beating City with this humbling celebration. They
That's
celebrated
really triggered you,
beating Real
Hamza.
Madrid 5-1. They talked about this is the greatest moment, and they talked about going to the Bernabeu and beating the likes of Madrid. So this is by
We
far
should talk
one.
about that. Are we not allowed to talk about that?
You are allowed, but the way that you are over talking about it, because we've seen things like we've seen teams beat Madrid, but the way that you guys oversell the dream about beating Madrid, how Declan Rice should be considered as a Ballon d'Or and this Saka should be a Ballon d'Or contenders, I just
Stop,
think it's
stop, stop,
absurd
stop,
because
stop.
three,
2 seconds, Hamza. Number
yeah,
one, you've said so many things. Number one. Number two, you currently have a game in hand. If we go and beat Bournemouth, most likely this video is gonna be released after the Bournemouth game. Instead of a 3 point gap, it could be a 6 point gap once again. So all of
but
this
still,
stuff about points tallies
it's still
is irrelevant. One
looking at the
second,
current
it's
table.
it's
The
irrelevant.
current table
If
is Man City at
if
3 points
if
behind.
we if we come in second and we have a 10 point gap between Man City and Arsenal,
Yeah,
I really don't care because at the
but
end of the day, from my perspective, Arsenal finishing second, Arsenal finishing third doesn't really matter
it's
as long as my team does what they need to do in the summer to
but
try to
the problem
improve.
what we're saying is you've been talking about this second place, and you said this is the season that way we're gonna win the league. How can you be that this is your season to win the league, and you're being chased with the likes of Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, and the weakest Man City side who are just three
No, no, no,
points
no.
behind?
Don't act like
I just don't
stop,
see
stop,
that
stop.
you're being special. I think
You
you've
know,
also failed, and I think you should be looking at yourself as if you have completely failed, and we might walk away with a cup
I
competition. And
honestly don't think we're having the same conversation here because what you tweeted earlier was shocking. Man City only one game between them. Sorry, one win in what do you say? One win in
in
13
13
games between
games,
October and January, and you're
yeah,
3 points behind Arsenal.
yeah,
Now, my thing to you is you spent 200 million in January. What did
doesn't
you
matter.
expect? No, no, no. What do you expect when a team who wins one game in 13 goes and spends 200 million? Don't
No,
you
but one
expect them to
second.
improve?
But one
Also,
second.
also, you said Arteta this, Arteta kept Arsenal competitive, even though he had the most injuries in the league. The most injuries in the league.
We don't.
Right?
We've had the same. We've
No,
had
no, no, it's
injuries
not
as
the
well. No,
same.
no,
It's not the same.
no, no. We've
Arsenal
had.
have had the most injuries in the league, and I will bring you the stats
Okay,
to back it up. These are the
let's.
stats. This is the
Okay,
proof. Arsenal have
Okay.
had the most injuries.
Yep. But it
Look at
doesn't
Man
work. No,
City.
one second.
Look at Man
See the
City.
problem. No, but the problem is you look at that. We've had key starters that are out of this
And we
thing. We've
haven't.
had Akanji. Akanji normally starts. John Stones normally start. Ake normally start. That's our back line gone. Kyle Walker left us in mid-season. Kyle Walker left us. Our captain left
He
us
wasn't. You
mid-season.
guys
No,
sold him.
one second. No, just look at this.
You're
Edison
making
missed how many
excuses
months?
now.
One second.
I'm not
Edison
talking
has
about the
missed many
injuries
months.
as an
Haaland has
excuse.
been out for the whole season. How many months? Rodri whole season. KDB keeps coming back from injury. Foden is not fully fit for him. We've had a whole starting 11, literally the
Bro,
core players
you think
out,
you're alone.
and we've been surviving with the likes of Kuso. We had to
You
make
one
those
second.
signings.
Do
We
you
had
know
to
who
depend on
Arsenal have had
Kusanov to
injured
come in
this
and set.
season? Do you know
Yeah,
who
but not as
Arsenal have
much
had
as.
injured this season?
But your
Jesus.
starters have not been injured.
Let me stay it. Let me stay it. Jesus, Tomiyasu, Gabriel Magalhaes,
He doesn't start.
Kai Havertz,
He
Jorginho.
starts.
One second, Calafiori. Don't forget Bukayo Saka. Don't forget Martin Odegaard. Don't forget Declan Rice missed a game here and there. Don't
No.
forget majority of the back line missed
Okay.
games.
Okay, John Stones, Akanji, and Ake is your Saliba and Magalesh, yes or no?
Saliba hasn't
And
missed
Timber.
games. Saliba
They're
hasn't
your
missed games.
Timber, and I have not seen you losing
Ben
Saliba,
White.
Magalesh,
One
and
second.
Timber. Ben
Ben
White is
White.
a bench player. He's a bench player.
No,
He's
no.
not.
Stop
He
it.
doesn't start.
He was a starter before he got
But he
injured.
doesn't start over Timber. We
Stop
know
it.
that.
Stop it. Stop it.
We
Ben
know.
White.
Everyone knows.
No. You. Okay, Hamza. If you want to do the injuries conversation with me,
No, but I'm not
understand.
utilizing an excuse. You're utilizing as
Get
an
your facts
excuse.
straight before we go any further. Because my thing is, I'm simply saying you spent 200 millions, irregardless of your injuries. Arsenal
200
have been
million is
compared,
experienced Kusanov.
irregardless of
200
injuries.
million of Victores.
One
It's
second,
not even 200
irregardless,
million. Get it correct. It's
regardless what
170
happened,
million.
injuries, no injuries. Arsenal this season with more injuries than Man City, more
But not
injuries.
key players. Not key
Yes,
players.
we had key players
We've had the
out.
best.
Bukayo
Okay,
Saka, Martin Odegaard, Kai Havertz,
hold on. The
Gabriel
key
Magalhaes are
of
not
our
key
player
players.
is Rodri, our Ballon d'Or winner, the best player in the world. The best player in the world has gone
But you
injured the
apparently
whole
have the
season.
best manager and you don't make
No,
excuses for
one
injuries.
second. We've not made it as an excuse. We've congratulated Liverpool winning the league, but you guys don't accept the fact that Man City are not utilizing the excuse of missing John Stones, Ake,
You just
Akanji.
tried to.
No. You utilize it. You brought the injury. We're saying we're
No, my
3 points
point.
behind you, being at our weakest point we've ever seen. And your strongest point, you've been there since
No, we
2006.
haven't.
You've never reached the Champions League final since
Stop.
2006. Yeah?
Stop. Once
How can
again,
you
Hamza.
be 3 points behind you?
Hamza, you can be 3 points behind us in the league, but understand what you've done this season. You've spent 200 million in January to
Players and
improve your squad.
experience.
One second. That is a major factor in why you have gotten
It's
better in the
not.
second half of the
It's not a
season.
factor because those
It is
players
a
have not
major
started.
factor. Without Marmoush, you're not
One
doing
second.
half the stuff you've
Okay,
done.
1 second. Let me say, Mamouche was Alvarez's replacement. He was Alvarez's
Marmoush,
replacement who we lost.
you spent money in January to
Yeah, but
improve your team, and don't act like that is not a factor in why you've gotten better in the second half.
Mamouche was a player. We replaced a
No.
player that we
But
should have replaced in the summer.
oh my God, the worst ever
No,
Man
no,
City team in history.
no, 1 second.
No, it's not.
Mamouche was a replacement for Alvarez, who we should have replaced in the summer.
This Man City
Kusanov
team this
is an
year,
inexperienced player.
is not even worse than Pep's first season.
1 second. Look at
And
the
this
end of
Arsenal
Declan Rice.
team is not even better than Arsenal last year and the year before. So your whole I'm sorry, just 1 second. Let me finish this point. The point where you say Arsenal's best season, Man City's worst season is also bullshit because Man City's first Pep season was worse, and Arsenal under Arteta the
No.
last 2 seasons have been better than this season.
This season is your best season. You've never reached the Champions League semi-final. This is your first time you've been bragging about beating Madrid. Either you're a good team. Do you classify this Arsenal team a good team or not?
Yeah.
So I classify this every Man City fan will tell you this is a weak team. We've got a weakest team. So we're saying your best team, the good team that you're supposed to be this great
It's
team
not my
of
best.
Arsenal.
Don't say that. That's
No,
a lie.
one second. No, because to me, you have never reached the semi-final. You're talking about before
Yeah,
this
but reaching the
PSG.
semi-final, if you don't win it, it's not an
No,
accomplishment.
but that's the problem. Before the PSG game, you guys were all talking about you're going to win the Champions League and how it might be. Some of your fans
I still
were
believe we
hoping that it's
can.
going to be a walk in the park against PSG. Now,
I
after
never
the
said
first
it
leg,
was.
you're already now. classifying yourself as underdogs against PSG. Let me just
Yeah, we're
go back
one
to.
nil down,
Let me no hold on. Let me go back to the
going away from
situation.
home.
I don't believe Arsenal do what we do without Saliba, that's our John Stones, without Magalesh, for who has been our Ake. Ake is outstanding, he starts. Yeah. Akanji, who's been our player, our right back Timber, your right back Kyle Walker, left us mid season. You would never have survived with those four players out. We've had those four players out all out at the same time.
All right, all
And
right,
we've
all right.
had to play one second. Nico O'Reilly, our players like Matthias Nunes Souza, central midfielder, for 5 months as a right back. He's never played as a right back. Pep had to work with his adversity and his
Bro,
three
we
points
had
to,
Bukayo
to this
Saka.
Mikel Arteta guy who spent how many years he's been to
Stop it,
Arsenal?
stop it, stop
six
it.
years, and he's struggling to find solution. I
Stop
don't
it.
know how.
We've had Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, and Havertz all out. We had to rely on Raheem Sterling, Trossard, and
But you
Ethan.
complain about Martinelli. You don't rate Martinelli. You
No,
cuss about
stop
Havertz.
it.
And that
You
you
don't.
can't
You.
take
It
one
doesn't
part.
matter. It doesn't matter. You didn't rate Kyle Walker before he got injured.
No, he's
I
our
mean,
captain
before you
still.
sold him.
He starts.
My
He's
point
our captain who
is,
won the
my
treble.
my point is, you drew a comparison to Arsenal having four defenders out. I'm telling you, we had four attackers out, and that crippled us. Do not act like Bukayo Saka missing for 2 months, 3 months almost doesn't make a big difference. Do not act like Kai Havertz missing does not make a big difference. Do
We've
not
had
act like having Raheem Sterling, Trossard, and Ethan as your front three can
we
keep you
no,
competitive in the title
Ethan
race.
is not. Ethan is just like Makati. It's like me making excuses
No,
about
but
Makati. He's a
you
youngster,
cannot
whatever
you
it is.
cannot stay competitive.
No,
You
Saka has
cannot.
been out for
No
2 months.
team,
Odegaard
Hamza,
was out for 2 months.
Hamza,
We've
no
had
team,
players like
no team can
one
be
second.
no
We've
team
had
can be
Haaland
competitive with
three
that
months
many
out, our
players
main
out in the
striker.
same
We
position.
did listen. We've gone with a striker 3-4 months out. Yeah, he's out. Haaland. Yeah, we've had a player like Rodri, Ballon d'Or winner, best, the core of Man City, out the whole year with the ACL, the best player in the world, the best
Why are
player in the
you
world
lying?
in
Holland
Man City.
missed 6 games.
Bro, he's nearly 2-3 months out. 2-3 months out. What we
When
do?
did he get injured?
Haaland's been injured on and off. He's been injured for. And let's go back to Ake. Ake is our starting player. John Stones
You're
starts
making
for Man City.
excuses.
Can't walk. No, I'm not making excuses. I'm saying this is the worst City side, and people said we were finished by November and December. We were winning 1 in 13 games. One in
Yeah, but then
13
you
games.
spent
If you
200
today,
million.
if you today lose to Bournemouth, let's say for example, you lose to Bournemouth, you lose to Liverpool, we go ahead of you, we win the FA Cup, you get knocked out the Champions League, I think, and then
There's a lot
Tottenham
of
win the
ifs.
Europa, and then no one's saying Tottenham win the Europa League. I'm sorry. I'm looking at Arteta like a fraud. I'm looking at him as a fraud because you spent 800 million in your sixth season, you're still making the same excuses. You've used the injury excuse for how many years? It's your third year you're utilizing excuses about injuries. Every year you're saying injury. You didn't win because of injuries. Last year was Saliba. The year before that was Saliba was injured. The year before that, last year, you told me something happened. I don't know what happened. This year you're telling me about injuries and referee. You're always blaming other factors except your football club who cannot get it over the line. And I'm about to catch you up because of your own fault, because you're not good enough, because you've been bragging too much about beating me 5-1. Let that team that you beat 5-1 not come and
Okay.
catch you up. That's all I say.
All right. So the truth has finally come out. The reality is you're kind of salty because we beat you 5-1 and you
No,
want to stick to beat us with, right?
listen, we don't. It's our worst season by far. It was a humiliation by you guys, but listen to us. That was our worst. This is our worst season for the last 10 years. But listen,
Mm,
City fans all know that this is the adversity we had to go through. But we put
mm.
our hand up. But you're the ones that have been bragging about beating this Real Madrid side, beating Man City. And when decision goes against you about you drawing games, you blame referees than your own that rather than your own football club. You
All right.
utilize excuses about injuries. This is what it's not about injuries. It's about who.
Hamza, you've said so much.
If we finish above you this season, if we finish above you, or if
It
we
doesn't
finish
matter.
level on points with you, would you classify this as a failure season for Arteta again?
Listen, if we finish above you or if we don't finish above you, if we win the Champions League, you cannot classify anything as
Okay,
a
what about if
failure.
you don't win the Champions League?
If you don't win the Champions League and
No,
we finish
if
and we finish above you, it's still a failure regardless.
so Arteta has failed.
Regardless what happens, if we don't win, We've not been successful.
So Arteta's failed for 3 years in a row.
Yeah, he's failed to win a trophy. That's the reality. I'm not saying he should be sacked. I'm not saying he should be gone, because I believe this team, with the proper attacking strength and depth, can go on to not only win the league but go on to win the Champions League. We're currently in a semi-final of the Champions League with Mikel Moreno at the striker position, and some other pieces
And
trying to
same as
fill in.
PSG.
The
PSG don't have a
injuries,
striker.
the injuries,
PSG,
the
PSG
injuries,
don't have a
the
striker.
injuries,
They
the,
don't make
the injuries that
excuses.
we have had this season is worse than what you've had, and we are
No, no,
currently
not
still
at
in a
all.
better
Not at
position
all.
than you.
Not at all.
Yes, you
Not
could
at
win
all.
the FA Cup. And you know
Not at
what?
all.
If you do win the FA Cup, you've had a more successful season than Arsenal. If you finish above us, say whatever banter you want to say. But at the end of the day, I don't care, because I don't think we can take away from the fact that you invested 200 million in January and Arsenal did not invest a
On
single
players that we
penny.
don't play.
If
On players who
Arsenal
are
invested,
inexperienced.
if
On players
Arsenal
for the
invested
future.
money, if Arsenal invested money in January, the
You
title race
spent
would be
800
complete.
million for. You spent 800 million
We
in
didn't
three,
spend
4 years,
money
and
in
you haven't
January.
even
First
won
of all,
any major
get your
cups.
facts right.
No,
Arsenal have never spent 800 million in the time that Arteta has been here.
Arteta, how long? How much has he
We
spent?
spent
How much has
short.
he spent?
We spent just barely over 700 million.
Bro,
Barely.
nearly 800 million you spent, and
No,
despite it, you've
barely
not
over
won any
700 million.
major
Right?
honors. You've
And
not
you
had
want to know
any.
something? You
And
want to
you
know
know one
something?
thing. You want to know something
One
as well.
second.
Yeah,
Those players, those players,
Anna Slot
those
came to this
players,
league,
those players we
taking a
bought,
team that was third, no
those
spending,
players
and
we
you had an
bought,
additional spending, and
those
he's
players we
already
bought
surpassed you.
Those players that we bought since Arteta came in: Thomas Partey, Gabriel Magalhaes, Ben White, Martin Odegaard, Tomiyasu, Ramsdale, Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, Timber, Raya, Trossard, Jorginho. Those are good signings. Like, don't act
But
like
they've
some of
not.
these
They're
signings are
good
not good
sider who've not
signings.
delivered you any major honors. How can
Yes,
they
they
be good?
haven't. But guess what, Hamza? Everyone is in their own timeline. We're not.
Oh,
We were not a complete team in 2022. We're
so
not a complete team now. Everybody and their mom says we need a striker. You
everyone's
agree?
not complete.
You
I'm not
agree,
complete.
Hamza?
Liverpool are not
You
complete.
agree? You
Real Madrid
agree?
are not complete.
Arsenal need a
Everyone's not
striker, right?
complete. No,
You
no.
agree? Arsenal need a
Listen,
striker, right?
everyone has deficiencies.
No,
Everyone
but
has
you agree
deficiencies.
Arsenal need a striker, right?
Everyone has deficiencies.
You agree Arsenal need a striker, right?
Also, if you, how long have you needed a striker?
Are you gonna just agree with that at
No, no,
least?
no, no. I'm saying, how long have you needed a striker?
Are you gonna answer my question before
Yeah,
I
you
answer
need a
yours?
striker, but how long have you needed a
All
striker?
right. So
You need
we've needed proper investment in the striker since
for
before
how
we
long?
got
For how
Jesus.
long? For how
Since
long?
before
For
we
how
got
long?
Jesus. For
So,
3 years now.
so for 5 years, for
3
three,
years.
4 years,
3 years.
for 3 years. So Arteta made that choice that he doesn't want a striker. So don't give me this
No,
excuse.
what he realized
Arteta
is
made the
you
excuse of
can't.
not taking a striker. So
No,
I'm
no,
not
no.
taking that
Hamza, you know
excuse.
what it is? You know what it is? If you are cooking a meal, right, and you can't afford the top rate level of everything, you might not always go and invest in the most top rate everywhere. You're gonna maybe buy some stuff from Little, some stuff from M&S. It's not always
But
gonna be
hold on.
expensive.
So why did Slot needed backing? He took a team that was third, and you guys were above
No,
him.
but we're now
You
having
spent
two
more.
different
No one.
conversations.
No, 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 no. One
We're
second.
now having
I'm
two different
saying. I'm
conversations.
saying.
Arnie
I'm
slot
looking.
conversation a different day, Hamza.
I
We
know,
need to
but
come back
I'm
to that
still
another day.
utilizing. No, I'm utilizing the same factor that you keep it.
Let's bring it
Every
back to Man
team.
City Arsenal. I
Okay,
don't want to go to
okay,
Arnie
okay.
slot.
Fine. Every team has deficiencies. Yeah, Man City. We did not recruit in midfield. We did not extend our midfield. We did not recruit extra players. Yeah, fine now. But that's our fault. But but I'm saying, despite having our faults, we might end this season having a better season to a manager who's been given backing of how many years, and he's still being protected by fans like you. He's failing 3 years in
All
a
right.
row. You'd
All right.
accept failure,
Let's look at
but you
this.
don't
Let's
want to
look at this.
criticize him.
Shocking. Man City only one win in 13 between October and January are 3 points behind Arsenal. Don't focus on Arsenal. Focus on the fact that 18 points behind the champions.
Is it their
That is
fault?
a fact. That is true. You should focus on the fact that you're 18 points behind the champions. You shouldn't really focus too much on Arsenal. You want to win the league, right? You won the league 4 years in a row, and now you're bragging about coming in second. Another one. Spent 200 million in January. Why don't you focus on that? That's true. That is true.
Because your fan base don't like
Another
being
one
told the
here.
truth.
Another one here. So you're talking about all this. Wait, what is this? Arsenal beat Bournemouth today. City won't have gained any ground. since that's true. You know what? If Arsenal beat what do you call it, Bournemouth today, Man City would not have gained any ground in 14 games. In 14 games, we would have had a 7 point gap versus you back then, and we still would have a 7 point gap versus you today. If we win. 6 point gap, I mean. So that's crazy. Did you know that?
No, no,
Since game
listen,
week 20, we've had a 6 point gap. If we win today
listen,
versus
because
Bournemouth,
we've managed to close that
if
gap
we
down.
win,
We've
if we
managed
win
to close
today
that
versus
gap down.
Bournemouth,
We were 11
if we
points
win
at one
today
point.
versus Bournemouth, we still have a 6 point gap. You know that.
We were 11 points behind you with the weakest team we've ever
No,
had
but
at
look at
one point.
this.
You being at your
14
strongest
games
point.
ago, 14 games ago, you were 6 points behind us. And now, if we win versus Bournemouth, which I believe we can, we should still have another 6 point gap.
No,
The
because
only way this works is if Arsenal lose or drop points to Bournemouth. That
which
is
I feel
where.
it can happen. I feel it's gonna
Okay?
happen. I feel you're not pushing forward.
And then some people are going to say, some people are just going to clown you by saying you spent 200 million.
Yeah, that's why,
We're
because they're
using
so.
Mikel Moreno up top. Like, I really don't think you thought through your thought process. It's not a
Your
flex
fan
to
base,
say.
a lot of your
It's not
fan
a
base have
flex.
realized that
It's
in
not
May
a
you might be
flex.
left trophyless, and I think it hurts. So start looking
No,
for excuses
it's
to
not.
defend
It's
that
not.
player.
I
This is the
really,
problem with your
I'm
fan
really
base
not
every
focused
year.
on Man City as much as you're focused on Arsenal. The reality is, Arsenal fans are focused on the Champions League. That is
And
it.
if you're left trophyless, we're just saying that you
If
have
we're
to
left
reflect on
trophyless, we
yourself
have to hold
and
that,
take the accountability rather than because you're
bro.
mocking other teams like our team saying that we're finished. But now
Deservedly
when we
so. When we
point
beat
fingers
you,
at you, you
one
don't like
second. Throughout the
responsibility.
season, if a team beats you, they have bragging rights over you. If you end the season with the Europa League, fair play. I'm not in the Europa League competition. I can only talk about competitions I'm in. I lost in the FA Cup. If you win the FA Cup, fair play. Newcastle won the League Cup, fair play. But I'm not going to be upset that Chelsea won the Conference League. I'm not in the Conference League. Why do I care?
I'm just saying,
You know
let's
what
say
it's
one
like,
thing.
Hamza? It's like somebody who's in Harvard getting upset that they're getting B's in Harvard, but
No,
somebody who's in a community
I,
college
I just
getting
wanted to point.
getting a little bit better grades, but they're in a community college.
I
Does it
wanted to point.
really
No,
does winning the Europa League really shit on Arsenal when we're in the Champions League in a semi-final?
listen. I know you're in the Champions League semi-final, but it's all about winning the trophy. I
Where
think a
would
lot
you
of your
rather be? Where would you rather be? Would you
winning.
rather be in a Europa League final or in the Conference League Champions League semi-final? You want to be at the top level, right?
Yeah. But
All
to
right,
win,
so
it's
we
all about
agree.
winning. It's about winning. It's not about being
Oh,
there.
so you'd rather win the
Anyone can
Europa
be there.
League? You'd rather be in the Europa
I
League and
prefer
win
to win
it?
trophies. I'm sorry, I don't count
You would
anything
rather
about
be in the
being there.
Europa League.
Listen, I'll prefer to win trophies rather than
You
being
would
there.
rather be in the Europa
So,
League.
listen, it's about winning trophies.
You would rather be
Win.
in the Europa
I
League.
pref- I'll prefer to win major trophies.
You would
Major
rather win
trophies.
the Europa League than be in the Champions League.
No, I'd want to be in Champions League. Why would I want to be in Europa League? But I'm saying
Okay,
it's
so
about
then you've answered
getting
my
to the
question.
semi-final. It's not bragging right. Just let me make it clear. It's not bragging right. It's about winning the Champions League. You
I know,
can't
and
brag
that's what we
being
have to
there.
do.
And, and,
That's what
and
we
let me
have to
say the
do.
last thing. The last thing. The problem is a lot of your families have realized that a lot of your players haven't got this edge of taking it over the line. And they have the ability of bottling around March, April.
Declan
And we're
Rice doesn't
still
have that
seeing the
edge.
same process, but you're still using the same excuse. Injury, injury, we needed a striker. Every year, 2020, injury, injury, we needed a striker. 2022, injury, injury, we needed a striker. The same year, Arteta took that responsibility. Injury is part of football game. As much as I did, it affected me. To me, I'm looking at you. I better not catch you up. And if I do manage to finish ahead of you with my weakest team and your strong team, I think Arsenal fans should be ashamed of themselves.
You know what,
Ashamed
guys?
of
Let me know what
themselves.
you guys think. Do you think Hamza's right? Do you think I'm right? Let us know in the comments. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video. Go check out Hamza's channel. Also, don't forget to check out Hamza's channel every single time. And yeah, we're out of here, people. I'm gonna make sure I put the link to his channel. Leave a comment down below, and I'm gonna have to send this out to a lot of people because Hamza's saying if he catches us, those are fighting words. What he's saying, it's crazy. Anyways, we're out of here, people. Love for the love. Done now.
Come on, Bournemouth.